Good afternoon, I'm Nikki Rohde with your Carolina Minute. No charges are expected in the fatal wreck involving an 18-wheeler in Raleigh. Officials say 68-year-old Donald Aiken was killed while driving across Ray Road, where he was hit by a truck. Police say the truck driver tried to avoid the crash, but was too late. And closing arguments wrapped up the 3-week-long trial over North Carolina's 2013 voting law changes Friday afternoon. Lawsuits filed by the NAACP and others say the law intentionally targeted provisions used more by minorities, including early voting, same-day registration, and out-of-precinct voting. It'll be a while before a decision is released by the judge. Plus, Raleigh business owners now have shorter operating hours for sidewalk service. The Law and Public Safety Committee voted to shorten the hours businesses could serve food and alcohol on public sidewalks at night earlier this week.
You're watching Time Warner Cable News all morning.
It's now 1 minute past the hour. It's another hot day here in Raleigh. Meteorologist David Dixon has more. It's time for your Weather on the Ones forecast.
Thanks, Nikki. It's a beautiful day throughout most of North Carolina. Plenty of sunshine, as you can see from our Durham Skycam. Bull City, not that many clouds in the air, so plenty of blue sky, plenty of sunshine, and plenty of heat. Temperatures are already up to 87 Durham, and it's going to only get hotter as the day goes on. Apex already at 90 at Wake Forest as well. Everywhere else seems to be around the same. 91 in Lumberton, and highs are only going to get higher with a high of 95 for today. But the big difference that you will feel is the dew point's very low, actually. Dew point measures the amount of moisture in the air, so the higher it is, the more uncomfortable, sweltering, humid it actually feels. And we're actually in that lower range, 61 right now in Raleigh, Fayetteville at 59, so lower end, so it's going to feel pleasant and dry, and it's going to stay there for the next couple days. Mostly clear for today in Raleigh, afternoon, mid-90s, and it's going to stay clear for the rest of the day with lows in the upper 60s for tonight. Be sure to stay tuned because I'm going to tell you what's to expect for the rest of the week here and across the state.
We now know the name of a man who died in a wreck involving an 18-wheeler in Raleigh. Police say 68-year-old Donald Aiken was driving across Ray Road at Laura Mountain Road when he was hit by the truck driven by 35-year-old Tony McDonald. They say McDonald tried to avoid the crash. McDonald is not expected to be charged. Closing arguments wrapped up Friday afternoon in the 3-week federal trial over North Carolina's 2013 voting changes. Lawsuits filed by the NAACP and others say the law intentionally targeted provisions used more by minorities, including early voting, same-day registration, and out-of-precinct voting.
Disenfranchisement is constitutionally wrong. Getting the right to vote is enfranchisement. But then to take away those things that have been used or are being used to overcome barriers is constitutionally wrong.
The defense argued that the changes were legal and didn't place any greater burdens on minority voters than others. It'll be a while before Judge Thomas Schroeder issues a written opinion. He's given both sides a few weeks to file post-trial briefs. Officials confirmed Friday the 20-year-old accused of killing 3 people after driving the wrong way on I-85 in Orange County had a blood alcohol content of 0.17. Investigators say Chandler Kenya used a fake ID to buy drinks at 2 Chapel Hill bars before the wreck. The UNC student is now under house arrest after posting a $1 million bond earlier this week. Kenya faces 3 counts of second-degree murder plus a DWI charge. He's scheduled to return back to court in August. A young child was injured at the Durham Bulls game Friday night. We're told a child in the stands was hit by a foul ball in the 2nd inning during the Bulls game against Gwinnett. No word yet on the extent of the little girl's injuries. The Hope County Sheriff just landed the role as head of the North Carolina Sheriff's Association. He says he plans on using his new position to better his relationship between law enforcement and the community. Sheriff Hubert Peterkin says that building strong relationships with the people he serves is what makes him so passionate about his career.
I've always wanted to be a law enforcement officer. I want to help people. I want to serve people, protect people. I knew I wanted to do this ever since I learned about Batman and Robin and all those guys.
Sheriff Peterkin has been in law enforcement for nearly 30 years and has been Hope County Sheriff for 13. Raleigh business owners now have shorter operating hours to serve customers on public sidewalks. Businesses could serve customers outside until 2 a.m. every night of the week, until now. On Tuesday, the Law and Public Safety Committee voted to cut back the hours businesses could serve food and alcohol on public sidewalks at night. Time Warner Cable News reporter Katie Taylor tells us more.
The fate of late-night sidewalk service laid in the hands of the Law and Public Safety Committee on Tuesday.
90% of our business revenues and the tips that our employees make and all that money coming in comes in a very short amount of time, from 11 p.m. till 2 a.m. on Friday, Saturday evenings.
Zach Medford was one of the many downtown business owners in attendance at Tuesday's Law and Public Safety Committee meeting. Raleigh businesses can serve customers on public sidewalks every night of the week until 2 a.m.
There's a higher calling that we all have to answer for, and it's not 2 o'clock in the morning. It's not 1 o'clock in the morning.
There have been 30 noise complaints to the city since the 1st of June. They are now trying to find a compromise to make both the businesses and the nearby residents happy.
It's a serious problem.
Business owners at the meeting said that closing the outside tables early in the night will turn customers and profits away.
Could you guys raise your hand if you make most of your money between 10 and 2 a.m. on Friday and Saturday every week?
After hearing both sides, the committee decided to stop sidewalk service at 1 a.m. Fridays and Saturdays and at midnight Sunday through Thursday.
I just don't understand why we're putting restrictions in place that don't address the problems that we're there to fix.
The committee suggested trying out this policy for 6 months, then coming back to evaluate the effects. Live from the Raleigh newsroom, Katie Taylor, Time Warner Cable News.
Attorney General Roy Cooper is outpacing Governor Pat McCrory in the fundraising department. Cooper raised more than $2 million in the first half of the year. That's according to mid-year campaign finance reports released by the campaigns Friday. Cooper, who is expected to run for governor in 2016, has about $3 million in cash on hand in his coffers. Meanwhile, Governor Pat McCrory trails Cooper by about $600,000. The McCrory campaign reports it raised more than $1.3 million in the first half of the year and has more than $2.4 million in cash on hand. The U.S. Army Raleigh Recruiting Battalion has a new leader. Lieutenant Colonel Ted Hudson took command Friday morning during a ceremony at the state capitol. Hudson most recently served in Afghanistan and has spent the past 2 years with the exercise chief for the Joint Special Operations Command. He talked about the importance of his role in making sure the center has what it needs to be successful.
So it's kind of at my level is, working through the command teams that have in place, below and above, to make sure that we're putting what we need to in terms of, priority resources to make the center successful.
The U.S. Army Raleigh Recruiting Battalion is responsible for the recruiting of all active duty and Army Reserve soldiers across the Tar Heel State. The Coast Guard called off its search for missing teen boaters Perry Cohen and Austin Stephanos yesterday at sunset. Stephanos and Cohen left Jupiter, Florida on July 24th. They were in a 19-foot single-engine boat. The capsized vessel was spotted 2 days later, about 77 miles off Florida's coast.
The Coast Guard dedicates its best efforts to every search and rescue case. But this one was particularly painful because a lot of the people that were out there searching have kids about the same age. I have a 14-year-old and a 13-year-old. So the decision to suspend was excruciating and gut-wrenching.
The boys' families say a private search will continue. They plan to use money from a $280,000 GoFundMe campaign to fly private aircrafts and buy boat fuel. Plane debris found at Reunion Island was loaded into crates at the island's airport. The debris is expected to arrive in Paris today and will then be sent to investigators for analysis next week. Officials from Malaysia, France, Australia, and Boeing all say the piece of debris belongs to a Boeing 777. The only Boeing 777 currently missing and unaccounted for right now is Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Experts in France will try to identify which plane the debris belongs to and what happened to it. Officials say Cecil the lion's cubs have a good chance of surviving, even after his death. Cecil was killed by Minnesota dentist Walter Palmer near Wangay National Park in Zimbabwe. The director of the Wildlife Conservation Research Unit at the University of Oxford's Zoology Department says the cubs are alive. They will likely be defended by Cecil's brother Jericho. However, the cubs are not being tracked, and conservationists will have to track the adult females to find the cubs.
Plenty of sunshine throughout most of the state, a perfect time to take a trip to the beach or the mountains. I'll let you know what that's in store this weekend. Welcome back. I'm meteorologist David Dixon in the Weather on the One's Weather Center. It's a beautiful day throughout most of North Carolina. Clear skies for most of the state except for the coast. You can see these pop-up showers on our satellite and radar mosaic popping up over the last 24 hours. And let me show you why that's happening. This is actually a surface map of what's happening right now. This is actually a stationary front, and it's acting as a barrier between the ocean and the rest of the state. And this ocean is a source of a lot of moisture that's fueling these storms. And so it's going to stay there because it is a stationary front for the next couple days. And so it's going to give the rest of the state a chance of some nice, clean, clear air and drier air, courtesy of this high pressure system. It's going to move a little bit closer to the state, but expect high temperatures and for the next couple days. But like I said, perfect time to take a trip to the beach, and for the next couple days, like I said, those pop-up showers beginning today in the upper 80s, and they're going to stay there until about Monday. And if you decide the beach isn't for you, let's head to the mountains with highs in the near 80 and mostly clear skies. So a very cool down compared to what we're seeing in Raleigh if you decide to stay home. High today of 94 in clear skies, so you might want to take a trip to the mountains or beach because it seems to be a lot cooler there. But it's going to cool off a little bit tonight with highs in upper 60s in Raleigh, 68 in Raleigh, 72 in Fayetteville. And for tomorrow, it's going to be somewhat of the same. Clear skies and temperatures near 94 in Raleigh, Wilson at 93. And finally, for the rest of the week, expect similar temperatures as well, mostly clear skies until about Tuesday with highs in the mid 90s. And then by Wednesday, we're throwing in a late storm chance, and it will begin to cool off quite a bit. And by Saturday, it's in the low highs in the mid and upper 80s. Back to you.
The Carolina Panthers hit the practice field for the first time Friday night, kicking off training camp in Spartanburg, South Carolina. Time Warner Cable News sports director Mike Solarte spent the day with the team and has more with the face of the franchise, quarterback Cam Newton.
Cam Newton enters his 5th season as the quarterback for the Carolina Panthers, and he does so after a fairly busy offseason. He became the franchise's highest paid player ever by signing a $103.8 million contract. He also made a trip to Australia and practiced with an Aussie rules football team. He even got in some time to play some flag football just outside of Atlanta. Now, signing the contract wasn't necessarily hazardous, but those other two endeavors, well, it certainly raised the angst of the fan base. Newton says he's heard it all.
Cam playing flag football. Oh my God, he can do something. Yeah, Cam's doing knocker ball. Oh my God, look at him, pulverize people. But you know, Cam's driving fast. Oh my God, you slow down. He's driving again. You know what I'm saying? It's always something.
Social media allows fans to follow their favorite athletes 24/7, and as such, the worry meter can be on high. Newton admits he enters this season feeling as good as he has in a long time, and because of that, he won't sit on the sidelines of life and not experience the things he'd like to.
I think, you know, walking down the street, you know, you can get hit by a car.
Being hit by a car is something he knows all about. The QB still wearing his hospital wristband from a 2-vehicle accident last fall that left him with 2 fractured vertebrae.
I don't wear it for a fashion sense. I wear it for just a reminder that, you know, so many people worry about the things that we just talked about, the negatives about, you know, oh my God, he's going to do this. Oh man, you know, it's too hot outside. Oh God, you know, I'm gonna get sunburned. But you know, not just appreciating that, you know, it's the sun's out.
The sun seems to be shining more in Newton's world. He's leading a Panthers team that has won the NFC South title in back-to-back years and is the face of a franchise hungry for bigger and better things in 2015. And he insists that none of those things are taken for granted.
Like my father always told me, you know, one day you can be on top of the world, and the next day the world can be on top of you. So, you know, appreciate the people that's in it, and you know, strive for greatness in everything you do.
Newton says he doesn't want to be untouchable in the Charlotte community. He likes to go to Food Truck Fridays. He likes to walk to work and interact with fans. Those things give him joy. But the one thing that would give him the most joy would be hoisting that Lombardi trophy at season's end. With the Panthers in Spartanburg, Mike Solarte, Time Warner Cable News.
We'll have much more from training camp coming up on Jersey Mike's Sports Night at 10 o'clock. We are following breaking news out of Raleigh. A masked man was arrested by State Capitol Police just before 5 this morning after he was seen with a handgun and cans of spray paint. 32-year-old Perrin Tremaine Moss was charged with carrying a concealed weapon, possession of a weapon on the state capitol grounds, and wearing a mask on public property. He is being held in the Wake County Detention Center in lieu of a $1,000 bond. No property was damaged on state capitol grounds. Officials are still investigating the situation. We will bring you more information as it becomes available. Beijing is set to become the first city to have hosted both the Summer and Winter Olympics after it was chosen to stage the 2022 Winter Games. The decision was confirmed by officials at the 128th International Olympic Committee session in Malaysia on Friday. The pool of potential cities was narrowed down to Beijing and Almaty, Kazakhstan, after Oslo, Munich, and Stockholm all decided not to pursue plans to host the Winter Olympics. Some of the sporting events will be hosted in Beijing, and others will take place about 120 miles northwest of the city. The Beer, Bourbon, and Barbecue Festival kicked off in Cary Friday. People who go say the event is a great way to get people together.
We got a great setup here, just a nice shaded amphitheater, and then also free barbecue, free bourbon, free beer, some of my favorite things. So I think it's anytime you can get that many people together just kind of hanging out, it's a good event.
The festival runs through Saturday night at 6. This 4-year-old is doing big things for her community. On Friday, Anna Claire Aldridge set up a homemade lemonade stand in Clayton to raise money for Rough Creek Animal Rescue and Adoption Center. With a little help, the little girl filled the 50-cent cups with lemonade, passing them out one by one, saying she came up with the idea all by herself.
Dogs don't have a home and they need food and all that kind of stuff.
She plans on donating all the money she makes to the no-kill shelter that takes care of homeless dogs and cats. And that's a wrap for us here at Time Warner Cable News. For all of our crew behind the scenes, I'm Nikki Rohde. Have a great weekend, everyone.